My name is Brian, and Susan was my dear friend. I want to say to start, it was a privilege to know Susan, and it's a privilege to be here sharing some stories about her with all of you to try to convey how sort of special and fun she was. So thank you for allowing me to be here, Elaine, Marty, thank you for inviting me. I'll say too, it's hard for me to overstate the influence that Susan had in my life. I'm in DC because of her. I'm an attorney in large part because of her. She introduced me to some of my favorite authors and poets, some of my favorite people, including my wife, Shalini. So Susan is with me every day in ways big and small, great and even greater. I met her in 1990 when I was at junior high and high school as part of a program called the West Virginia Scholars Academy. And the program was designed to encourage reasonably able West Virginians to go to college and ask them to encourage their peers to do the same. Part of the program was to write an autobiography to sort of focus our mind a little on where we'd been and where we'd like to go. And Susan came up to speak with us about sort of writing and the writing process. And I'll say at the beginning, neither one of us knew what to make of the other. She thought I was a girl. I had longer hair, and I wasn't as burly as I am right now. It's true. And she was, for that moment in my life, she was a little interpersonally aggressive, and I think people know Susan what I mean. But she was clearly very smart and very funny, genuine, and able to relate to all sorts of people in all sorts of ways. And she was so good at that she was able to sort of deal with high school kids over the course of 2 years, you know, and they're not the easiest sort of people to relate with. Some of you may be familiar. And every one of them developed deep personal affection for her. Some of the pictures are up here. And many of us, me, Jason, Michelle, Annie, Ari, developed amazing relationships with her. We visited her, were visited by her, some of us lived with her. She helped us navigate jobs, schools, families, and relationships, and really sort of helped us set our course in life. And I think people that knew her and had relationships with her, you know, Susan had a way of dealing with you where you were the most important thing in her life. She was so able to focus, understand, and sort of, you know, feel where you were coming from. But in that moment, you definitely were the most important person in her life. And there's a Rumi poem, a short one that I think gets to the heart of it. And it says, "Come to the garden in spring. There's wine and sweethearts in the pomegranate blossoms. If you come, these will not matter. If you do not come, these will not matter." For the record, she introduced me to Rumi too. She once told me, I think I figured it out, some people are anal retentive and I'm anal expulsive. It's a terrible image. But there's some deep truth in that. And what I mean is, she was sort of a giver in the extreme, right? I mean, she was sometimes over the top. There's one example where she was so convinced that a store display item would be the perfect gift for a friend that she managed to buy it despite being told multiple times that it was not for sale. And there's a photo of me, Susan, and a cardboard Dolly Parton cutout, looking appropriately ridiculous that we gave to Michelle. She almost burnt her apartment down, making a very involved breakfast for a friend. It was a grease fire. She threw water on it, and the kitchen went up in flames. At the end of it all, the fire department came, and Susan reports that her new friend said, you know, toast would have been just fine. And Susan gave nearly every Friday night to working a toll-free hotline, taking calls from strangers who were struggling with their sobriety. And I'll say that we're getting closer to the real gift of Susan. You know, it's whether you were a longtime friend receiving a gift telling you that you were always front of mind for her, or burning her house down to break bread with you in a way that she thought was appropriate, or a stranger in need of a friend. Susan just made your world bigger. And she built these relationships by, seeing the best in other people and reaching out to help others. And just to be caught up in that sort of activity and that sort of person sort of approaching others, it made your world bigger too. And she loved introducing her friends to each other, and loved it when they got along in ways and over the things that she thought they would. It confirmed that she really kind of understood those people, and she knew that they would get along in just that way. And here's an example. Susan loved Brazilian music. She went to a concert in D.C., and was so impressed with the young woman who produced the show, she introduced herself and they went to lunch. Susan found the young woman was in a PhD program and was trying to figure out whether to continue. That person's experience reminded Susan of another friend's experience with academia. And so the next time the other friend came to D.C., Susan coordinated a dinner. Those friends got along so well, they kept in touch through Susan and separately from Susan. And a few years later, got married and had a few kids. And that's the story of how a chaperone dinner ended up with a boy from West Virginia marrying a girl from Sri Lanka. Susan insisted that it wasn't meant to be coupling, and I believe her. She said, she was just hoping that her friends would also be friends. But I think that when she put two people together and they got along in ways that she didn't anticipate, that was your cup running over into hers, and that it was really magic for her. And in this case, it was magic for me as well. And that's the magic of being involved in good relationships with others and helping others. So later, when a new friend met Susan, and Susan never stopped making friends, she found out about Susan's success as a matchmaker and how she was sort of helping all these people in her life. And she said something like, "There's going to be a special place in heaven for you, Susan." And Susan's response was, I used to be a not nice person. And I think that was true, and I bring it up because it shows how powerfully you can reinvent yourself. Susan was sometimes tough and direct, but not malicious or spiteful. She completely left her old, not nice self behind, I think. And I also bring that story up because I think that the key to her self-reinvention was seeing the best in others and reaching out to help others. And it sounds simple, but it's really hard to execute. And so, congratulations, David, Robin, and past award recipients for being able to put it into action. I do think it's a path to a bigger, better world. And I thank you for letting me come share with you, and just being here with you and sharing a little bit of Susan with you has made my world bigger, and I'm truly grateful.